Hey everybody, Corey here coming at you with another knife video. Today we are doing a first impressions video of my custom Olamic Wayfarer 247, and I will be talking about why I am going to send it back to Olamic this weekend for them to take a look at it. So first of all, I want to say Olamic has been great throughout this entire process. As soon as I told them that I had a problem with the knife, they said, send it back, here's a free shipping label, give it to us, we'll do what we need to do. I am a little afraid that I'm being nitpicky, and I really don't want to be that customer, but at the same time, for $700, which is what this configuration ran me, there are some things that I think, you're allowed to be picky. So in that regard, it is what it is. But aside from the one issue that I have with this knife that I feel is relatively objective, the rest of it is absolutely great. From a usability perspective, one of the things that people always say that they love about the Olamic Wayfarer are the ergonomics, and I have to agree. This is probably the most comfortable knife I've ever held in my entire knife career, and it kind of has to, I'm assuming it has to do with the fact that it's got like almost like a, people describe it as like a pistol grip, and I kind of see that, I kind of agree, but my God, there's something about the way that this locks into your hand that it's just, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's everything that I wanted it to be. So there's that. From a fit and finish perspective, aside from the one issue that I have, it's great. The inlay is nice and flush. All the other parts are flush. The pieces are polished well where they're supposed to be polished. The stone wash, or what they call Tex wash, is really consistent. Same thing on the blade. The acid wash and then the stone wash is it's very consistent. I like what I see. It's great, and it's exactly what I would expect for a custom knife, for a $700 custom built from the ground up. The pocket clip, I have carried this a few times. The pocket clip slips in and out of the pocket really well. It's deep enough to where it's deep enough, and it's heavy enough to where I'm not really concerned about the knife just falling out of my pocket at any point. It's really, really, really good. It's so good that I might actually consider picking up a second one of these, the Wayfarer 247, at some point, and genuinely carrying it. And actually, I keep calling it the 247. Technically, it is advertised as the 24/7. Their idea with this knife was that they were trying to create a knife that was kind of like the perfect EDC knife, the knife that you would actually carry with you 24/7. So I'm sorry I keep saying 247. It's off the top of my head. But anyhow, there's that. I love this knife. I absolutely love this knife. I would love another one just to carry around as my EDC, genuinely. I mean, it's so comfortable, it's so usable. I absolutely love it. That being said, what is my problem with the knife? So I actually have an unboxing video that I have not posted to YouTube, and I may or may not take a clip from there for, I don't know, posterity, for the sake of showing it. But essentially, I'm going through the entire knife, and I say that it's centered, and then when I check for blade play, I go, ooh, actually there's some blade play. And normally I would just tighten down the pivot or tighten down the body screws, and that would be fine. Essentially, the problem that I'm having with this knife is I have to pick between centering and blade play. I can tighten down the pivot to completely eliminate the blade play, but then let's see if we can get this to show up on camera. Okay, there's the tip, and you can see, I mean, it's hard to do it without centering it. It's easier to show on the tabletop, but you can see the tip there. It does favor the clip side. I'm trying to, it's hard. When I tighten it down all the way, it favors the clip side, and it's pretty clear. And it becomes even more clear because you can see on this knife they've got that floating back spacer, so it really kind of makes it stand out even more like a sore thumb, when it's not perfectly aligned. Now, this is the part where I'm saying, okay, I can loosen the pivot and get the blade obviously centered, but then I get some blade play. Some people might say that that's being nitpicky. Some people might say that the blade barely being off center is, ridiculous, and I should just accept it. Everyone's different. For me, when you pay this much for a knife, it needs to work. It needs to work 100%, and it needs to be no questions asked, right? Maybe some people would argue this is a stupid thing to say, but maybe if it was the norm for knives these days to, you know, be slightly off-centered or have a slightly, you know, a lockup issue or something like that, maybe I would just take it. But the problem is, you know, I've got $70 knives that I can just tighten down the pivot all the way. They're perfectly centered and they have no blade play, right? So if a $70 knife can accomplish that, a knife that is literally 10 times the cost should be able to accomplish that as well. That being said, again, Olamic is totally good about, you know, I told them I think there's an issue with the knife, and that day they sent me a free shipping label and they said, send it back to us, we'll get it right. So in that regard, that's very nice. I would be heartbroken if anything happened to this in the mail. But right now, that's my only issue. You know, I could just go on using this knife and it could just be a little off-centered and that would be the end of it, right? But for me, there's something that just makes me feel a little bit icky about paying that much for a knife and letting something like that go. I feel like it's the kind of thing where it might be nitpicky, but at this price point, it's time to nitpick. So I would love to be able to just tighten this pivot down and have no concerns and just run with it. So I will be doing an update video, obviously, when I get the knife back from Olamic to, you know, see if the issue was resolved. I fully trust that they're going to resolve the issue, but if they don't, you know, whatever. That's something that we'll end up talking about. But you know, other than that, other than the whole centering versus blade play thing, I love this knife. I absolutely love this knife. And of course, I haven't had an extensive amount of time with it yet at this point, but the ergos alone are like, wow. Like, I want to use this knife. I totally get why it's called the 24/7. I really think based on the design that they chose, I get it. I would totally want to carry this 24/7. This could absolutely be my only knife, and I would be absolutely thrilled with it. So, other than that, we'll see what happens with the whole warranty, with the whole, you know, fixing thing. They've been very good about communication. They've been very good about everything else, so I don't see why it would be any different. I hope they understand. I'm sure they will. Unfortunately, you know, I might come off as like a Karen at this point because I want the centering perfect. But again, I don't think that's too much to ask it at this price. So we'll see how everything goes. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time.